All right, welcome to episode 47 of the Pickleball Crew. This week we're going to talk a little bit about trends in pickleball and have you bought in. And we're going to start with paddles, and Ken's going to lead us off.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the paddle world is going crazy the last 6 months. I mean, let's look at just like tennis did back 20 and 30 years ago, going from wooden to steel to aluminum to all the composite materials. The pickleball paddle has done the same thing over the last 10 years. We had wooden, and then you had a fiberglass or a composite, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, graphite made the scene, and then raw carbon fiber and various versions of an enhanced carbon or raw carbon. Um, and so now you've got all this new technology with the proprietary in the core, the different shapes. You got paddles with a hole at the bottom, the smiley face paddles. So it's gone crazy. So guys, what has paddle technology done for the game, in your opinion?
Well, from my standpoint, I started off with this paddle behind me and just kind of worked my way up. But I have to tell you, the last paddle I bought, which was an expensive paddle, was the first paddle I ever put in my hand that I could tell a difference in how I was hitting the ball. So to me, for someone like me to notice that change in technology tells me that they're really paying attention and they're making a good product.
Yeah, for me, the paddle technology has just improved, made the game speed up, and it's made me feel like I'm kind of behind, having to catch up. Um, Ken, me, and Vicki started about the same time, about 4 to 5 years ago, and the game was slower, but the paddle technology was nowhere near where it's at. So as far as how it's impacting me, I'm spending my time trying to play the faster game, but still have the you still got to have the slow game stuff, the dinking and the resets and the blocking, but you also have to embrace aspects of the faster game. If not, I think we'll be left in the dust.
I think it's also interesting that you can actually select paddles now based on your desire for more power or more control. Ken just mentioned size. Now thickness. They're even talking about Brent Roy in our last episode mentioned how he thought thickness made a difference in the way he felt the ball.
It does. It does. But and I think you see more people playing with a thicker paddle, 16, 17 millimeter, which is like 5/8 of an inch, because it's kind of physics that it's denser, it's got more area to absorb the ball, so the ball stays on that paddle a little bit longer, and you have the ability to control it a little bit better. For a while there, these paddles came in a control version or a power version, but I think you're seeing with this latest round of paddles that you've got a paddle that gives you both power and control. You get the resetability of holding that ball on a bit longer, but you still have the power when you need it. So, I mean, I don't know what's next down the line, but I tell you, paddle technology, it's almost like I just read an article today that the average player plays about 1 year with a paddle before upgrading. But even, and it's no secret, I have an ambassador relationship with Engage. Engage is we're putting out about every 3 months a brand new paddle, and it's a slight variation of what they've had before. Either they change the face or they're changing the proprietary core to the paddle to either give you a little more control, a combination of power and control. But other paddle manufacturers are all doing the same thing. And if a paddle manufacturer doesn't keep basically trying to stay a step ahead, if you don't try to stay a step ahead, you're a step behind. So it's a crazy world right now out there in the paddle industry.
Yeah, I mean, if we could imagine being a beginner playing the game and then looking for, I have 3 ladies that are like, we need new paddles and we have no idea what to look at and what to do. I mean, it's like a zoo. You walk through and it's so many different varieties and weights and lengths of handles and everything else. So if we can imagine how intimidating that could be as a beginner player. But I think one of the bigger things that I think I've seen, and I know for me, my top spin has been changed by the upgrade of grit to the paddle. But I'm seeing some paddles come out with some real serious grit on them. And then I'm watching people spin the ball just, I mean, insane spins, whether it's a top spin or a back spin, they're just coming harder and much tougher to defend for sure.
Well, just a little impromptu poll here, and I'm curious, Vicki. I'll ask you first. Would you rather have power or control?
That's a tough one, but
You wanna-
probably right now control. But I know that I need some power. I don't want a ton of power. I don't want that thing bouncing off of my paddle so I can't control it.
Right.
But I know that just my age and everything else, I need some power, but I probably would pick control.
What about you, Ken?
Definitely control. Definitely control. I mean, it's actually going to, in some ways, not only am I going to be able to control the ball, but it's going to dampen that shot and take a little bit off. Because I definitely can hit hard, but I really need to be able to place the ball and control the ball. And so I'll take all the control I can get.
Yeah. What about you, Bud?
Definitely control. At my level, I think at our level that we play at, I don't think you have to be a really hard hitter. I think you have to be able to hit hard shots. But I go by the adage of trying to keep it to 80%, sometimes 60% on a drive. But to me, if I have a weak spot, it's control. And I want something that's going to help me overcome that.
All right. I was just curious what y'all thought. And anybody that's watching this show when it comes out in a few days, y'all let us know in the comments, different people. I'll just be curious to see 10 or 12, 15 people respond to that, what they think. I always tell people, a lot of people that I'm coaching, I don't see power as a problem with most people. It's being able to control that power. So I
Absolutely.
definitely control for sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Something else that I'm amazed at are the number of paddle manufacturers coming around. It just seems like every month or so there's a new manufacturer out there, and they've got the newest and the greatest, and everybody jumps on board with it. Is it like that with tennis? When I played tennis, there were only like 5 or 6 racket makers, and now in pickleball, it seems like there's like 10 or 12
or more.
or more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in tennis you still have your top 6 or 7 racket makers, but they're still competing with the newest technology, shape, composite. So it's. But you're right, Bud. Every time I turn around, I hear of a brand new paddle manufacturer. I mean, it's almost like somebody in their garage decides one day I'm gonna start making paddles, and it's crazy. It really is crazy.
All they got to do is get them a pro to endorse it, and off they go.
Right.
But I think eventually it'll come around to the top manufacturers will stand on top, and I would think in a couple of years it'll narrow itself down. Maybe not, but
I hope so, because for the sake of the beginners and some of the intermediate players who are trying, it's hit or miss. And sometimes you think you really love a paddle and you'll purchase it, and 2 months down the road, you just like, I don't know if I'm in love with this paddle anymore. And then you try something else, and then that's a new purchase. And so it's
crazy.
tough to find that comfort in a paddle that you just know this is it. I love this paddle, and I don't want to try anything else. So
Well,
be careful, y'all. y'all are getting off into Burr under my saddle for the day. Don't
Ruh-roh.
spoil it. Don't spoil it.
One thing that's interesting, and I think as your game evolves, I think the paddle that you're currently playing with may not keep pace with your game as it's changing. And
That's
look,
a good.
the core of these
Yeah.
paddles does eventually wear out. You start to get a dead spot or two, and then there's the intangible of the new shiny paddle that just came out. You're like, wow, that looks like I'd like to give it a try. So anyway,
That's a good point, Ken, because as you increase your skills as far as controlling the ball, you can handle a poppier paddle or one that gives you more power. If you get that paddle in your hand before you've developed that control, it's going to kind of. I've had paddles in my hand that felt like a wild horse. Like, oh man, wow, it was almost like too much horsepower for me to handle. So you make a good point. As people are progressing along and you're getting better, then you might want to work on trying to find. And I think that's why a lot of us go through so many paddles as that progression occurs.
but I think to kind of summarize this, I think the technology is allowing people to not only hit harder, but hit with more spin and more control. And that there's a big difference between the technology today and the technology 3 and then 6 years ago and then 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And so that's
Oh, yeah.
why we think this is one of the biggest, really the biggest trends in the change of pickleball is the pedal technology. It's really changing the game. It's speeding up the pace, but yet it's still allowing for a lot of control.
All right. Well, I think this might be a good place to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, we'll pick up some more trends in the game. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in Southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicki Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride.
Hey guys, let's talk about number 2 of what we think is a trend that we're seeing. And one is shot evolution. When we first heard of an ATP or an Ernie, and we'll get into some more of those shots, but an ATP was like a end of point shot. It was like so great. But as we've watched pro pickleball players, it's an ATP has just become another shot, because the shot that's now countered it is the reject of an ATP, and people are ready for that ATP. And the point just continues on. The ATP has just become really another shot in a 30-shot rally.
Yep. Yeah, I remember watching the pros, and when they made an ATP, I thought, wow, I wish I could do that. And now I don't do it a lot, but I can do it, and I have done it. And you're right, Ken. Now, when I do try it, somebody's standing right there on the line waiting to hit it back. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, and I think another one is an Ernie. An Ernie is a shot that would catch us by surprise, but I think now a lot of players are playing in a way to expect an Ernie, and when they see the opponent moving, they redirect the ball back to the center or back cross court. So it's almost like either it's consciously or subconsciously. An Ernie was another end of point rally, and it still is at times. But I think more people are conscious of an Ernie, even at the rec play level. This was just what the pros did, but now you're seeing these shots saturate the rec play level of from 3-0, 3-5, 4-0, 4-5 plus. And people are now anticipating that Ernie. So you've got the opponent jumping out as though they're ready for an Ernie, but the ball doesn't set them up for an Ernie. Any thoughts there, guys?
Well, you talk about the big Ernie. I now avoid hitting dinks to somebody's forehand on the line just because of that, because I think they're setting me up for that shot. So I stay away from the forehand down the line when I'm dinking back at somebody, just for that reason.
Yep, and we should stay away from that most of the time anyway, because that's a high part of the net. You should go back either to the middle or try to go cross court. Shifting gears, Ken. The other thing, when we first started playing, all you heard, or most of what you heard, was third shot drop, third shot drop, third shot drop. Now, you hit that loopy third shot drop, and that ball bounces up too high. With these new paddles and stuff, they're going to punish that. So it's more now either third shot drive, fifth shot drop to get to the net, or the hybrid drop drive that we talk about in trying to get yourself to the net. That's been a shift in gears, especially the last couple of years. You're probably hearing more now, third shot drive, fifth shot drop. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I'm even hearing third shot drive, fifth shot drive, seventh shot drop. A lot of people are saying hit the drive twice before you reset.
Yeah, you're right, Jeff. It's that third shot has become a more offensive shot than in the past. When we first learned to play and were learning the soft game, everything was third shot drop. And if you didn't hit it quite low enough, or it wasn't, and they kept you back, you would fifth shot drop, seventh shot drop until you could get yourself in. And now, like you said, you're seeing a lot more third shot drive with either a shake and bake where the fifth shot is the put away, or the fifth shot is the drop because the ball came back short and you were able to step in, and now you've kind of neutralized the no volley zone.
Yeah, I mean, and with the speed, people being able to move in, and it's not a factor as much for some people. They're able to move in still on driving the ball. Maybe it's a 60% drive, but they're able to do it. And so it's interesting to watch just how active it's getting.
Vicki, you bring up a really good point. I remember not too long ago, you were told never get caught in the transition zone.
That's right.
What they call that? The no
man's land.
No man's land. And now we practice, we drill on taking shots from no man's land, even an offensive shot from there. So that, to me, that bit of such shot selection has really, really changed.
This is just my personal opinion, and I mean, we all have opinions. We have a right to our opinion. I hope that this trend will play out a little bit and not keep making the game faster and faster and faster. I like to hit a power shot as much as anybody else, but to me, part of the
nuance of the game.
Yeah, the nuance of the game is longer points. With this trend, the trend has been going to shorter points because of the power, and people can put the ball away and this and that. It's like when you go to a tournament where there's a really hard ball or a really soft ball. If the ball is a softer type ball, the points are going to be longer. And for me personally, I like those longer points. I like watching. When I'm watching, I like to see the longer points. I like to be involved in longer points. Again, that's a question that can be y'all let us know in the comments what you think. I could be crazy for thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the shake and bake, if somebody on the other side is just a master at the shake and bake, and every time you return the ball, it's a shake and bake. Okay.
Yeah.
This game was fun, right? I just got eaten alive. No, and yeah. I agree with you. I'd much rather be in some longer points and have some strategy and setting up points. When you hear people talking about setting your partner up and setting up points, I think we're of course not at the pro level that we can do both, but it surely would be nice to be able to have some time to set up those points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the old adage, work the point and not try to win the point right out. But staying with shot evolution, there's two more that we wanted to bring up. One is the Scorpion has become a popular shot, right? When you've got either a banger or you've got a ball hit to you and you don't know whether to go forehand, backhand, kind of ducking down and holding that paddle up and blocking it back. That's become real popular. The second one I want us to talk about as a group, and we're seeing it more at the pro level, is strategic lobs. Let's talk about the Scorpion and strategic lobs.
Well, the Scorpion's my favorite because I'm short and I'm right there for so many. My very first shot of the entire tournament on Saturday was just a get down low, take the ball, take it cross court, and off it went. And when I have that opportunity, I just love it. I take it. It's there, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna send it back hard. So for me, that's a shot I absolutely love. My yellow zone and red zone is much shorter towards the net, so it's almost like a mini overhead for me or something. But
That's
I just love it. I think it's well worth for everybody to try.
It's definitely worth shorter players, shorter guys, shorter ladies out there. It's a very effective shot. If y'all are out there and you don't know what a Scorpion is, you should check it out and I don't want to say Google it, YouTube it, or whatever to see some video on it. It's a very effective shot for shorter players for sure. And as far as the lobs are concerned, Ken, that's another trend that we're starting to see. Yeah. You're seeing it more and more in the pros. Again, it's not a shot that I think people should go crazy about, fall in love with. But a well-timed lob at the correct time can change the complexion of the point and back, especially if you got two guys or ladies you're dinking against or mixed, and they're really hugging that line tight, taking a lot of balls out of the air. But the dink line is volleys. When you get them leaning in there, disguise that shot, and then all of a sudden just pop it up over their head, it could be very effective in winning points. And it's a trend that we've seen the game going to here in the last year or so.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely pulls the opponent off that no volley line and pushes them back, and that's great if you can do that in the middle of a rally and take that pressure off of yourself on the no volley line. It's very very effective.
Yeah, especially if you can take that ball out of the air. That takes another second and a half. The ball is quicker coming off your paddle than letting it bounce. The second thing is if you can redirect it over their non-dominant shoulder so that they don't have an easy overhead. They have to basically outrun it or run around it. And then they're forced to either drive or drop the ball back. You've now pushed them back to the baseline. You've taken over the no volley zone, so you've put them on the defensive. So it can be, like Jeff said, be a really valuable shot.
And I've seen it too, Ken, where you're playing a game, and let's say you fall behind 3, 4, 5 points, and maybe it's going classic dink battles, and you're losing dink battles. Maybe had some tough luck. Just get up there sometimes throwing a lob up when they've been used to the flow of the game, and all of a sudden you throw something different at them. I've seen where to help you score a point and kind of get you off the snide and get you going in the right direction. Again, I want to emphasize though, don't fall in love with it. I mean, I used to do this. I try not to do it now. I'd hit a couple of good lobs and I would think, oh, I'm the lob master. And if you try 5 or 6 or 7 more with very little success, kind of if it's working, go for it, but use it in the right situations.
Yeah. So let's talk about another trend that really we're seeing is the younger, more athletic, faster players in the game. Now, this isn't a trend that everybody can adopt because you're the age you are, you're the quickness. But
why can't I do that?
5 or 8 years ago,
Pickleball.
This is a 50-something plus game. Now, in tournaments, we're seeing all ages. We're seeing all ages sign up for these tournaments. And and gosh, the athletic ability of some of these younger people coming into pickleball is just, somebody at my age just can't keep up with them. I can't move like they
It's the
move.
ability to run everything down alone is really a challenge to then try to figure out. It then just messes with your mind, because you figure, I'm trying to work this person and move them around, but they're getting to everything. What do I do now? It's now hustle up time and figure something else out. Go to plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever you've got, try it, because they're getting everything. I mean, it's just amazing. McCabe was like that over the weekend. I think they kept saying, gee, McCabe could be winning these games by himself, because he was just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I mean, he was running everything down.
Well, again, it's crazy. 4 years ago, we didn't see definitely didn't see any teenagers playing it, and very few 20-something-year-olds. But it is caught on, and they're seeing how much fun the game is. And I mean, literally, I think you could say the game is getting, the players are getting younger monthly almost, with new. I see it over at Stacks, just new younger players popping in daily over there.
I
Yeah.
think it's nice because it's not affecting my game. Okay. It's affecting the growth of the game, which is very positive. But hey, 25-year-old players, I'm not going to play with them that much, so it's not going to hurt me. So I think it's a very positive trend, seeing the young people playing this game. I think it's just, to me, it's great. I'm all for it. I enjoy watching the people that are fast on their feet. It's added to the game to me.
I agree.
Vicki and I were just at Stotts Park a week or so ago in Mobile, Alabama, and they had 4 courts. And from about 4:30, 5 o'clock, we left at 8:30, 8:45, and the courts were packed. And at one point, they had 5 and 6 stacks of paddles. But the point being, we had to look around to finally find a couple people that were about our age to play a game against. We mixed in with all the younger folks, and it was a lot of fun. But we were just trying to find to see if there was anybody over 50, and we finally found
That's
2
great.
people, 3 people, and it was amazing. Everybody was a teenager or 20-something, and a couple of 30-something. So
Yeah.
anyway,
A
they're
good
really
mixture
having
really
fun
does
with the
bring
game.
a
I'll
lot to
tell
the
you.
game.
Yeah. All right, guys. What about another big trend that we're seeing is pickleball tournaments, and we'll explain what the trend is. 4 or 5 years ago, at least where we live, there were 3, 4 tournaments that were all within 1 hour drive, and you circled those 3 or 4 or 5 tournaments for the year. Now, on a weekly basis, you have multiple tournaments to go to, all within that same hour drive. Not only that, we're seeing different format tournaments show up as well. We can explain that.
Well, I think it's amazing that you see so many tournaments that are on the same weekend. I know Pickle in the Dell at one time had to change their schedule because it conflicted with 3 other tournaments the same weekend. So it's great that you have such a variety, but well, it is great that there are that many. And again, it's just a testament to the growth of the game.
Well, and I think it's going to improve the quality of these tournaments, because now, if you're putting a tournament on, you better put a good product out there.
Good point.
And I know that there's things that happen at tournaments that cause delays and stuff like that, but you want your tournament to run smooth. You want, when a court comes open, you want people flowing onto the courts, keeping everything moving along. So with the growth of all these tournaments, tournament directors better make sure that they're doing the right thing and putting on a quality tournament, or you might struggle to get participants in your tournament.
Yeah, I agree. It's finding that magic of keeping it going, running smoothly, not having courts sit empty and people are just waiting and waiting and waiting. So there's a lot that goes behind them. Tournaments are not easy to run. You have to appreciate the people who do it and put themselves out there. Because like you said, there's always something that's going to pop up or something different. We had something really unusual pop up over the weekend, and it was something nobody ever would have dreamed about handling. We managed to work through it, and by the end of the day, people really were commenting how much fun they had and how much they enjoyed the day. So all in all, I think that good sportsmanship, for the most part, we all love seeing that and seeing people be able to compete with each other. Once in a blue moon, you'll find a situation where it's maybe not such good sportsmanship, but I find the pickleball community just rally around each other, rally around the tournament directors and everything else, and try to help keep them running. Help try to get people signed up if they need it, or subs. How many subs did we have over the weekend? We had quite a number of people drop out, and people just stepped up to the plate to do what they needed to keep it going. And the games were very competitive and a lot of fun. So I just think that it's going to go in a direction where it's going to get to be a little bit hectic and a little bit crazy to find that perfect date, because that perfect date maybe is already going to be grabbed by somebody else, or either it's an institution the weekend that it is, and so you avoid it. Like Halloween weekend, we all know where everybody ends up in Baton Rouge. So those kind of things I think will stick around and they'll stay. But what we have found too is this big trend to do them as fundraisers. That seems to be a new trend that's popping up a lot. And we just got contacted from somebody else who wants to put one on. So it sounds like it's not going anywhere. We're going to stay busy. And I think the big appreciation here is for the people who sign up, who are willing to do it and spend their money and help out and sign up to be in these tournaments.
So Ken, along the lines of new different style tournaments, why don't you tell us a little bit about the tournament you and Vicki just played in this weekend?
So we've got so just staying on that topic, one is we're seeing more and more MLP style tournaments. In the last 6 months, there's been 3 in this area, and they were just advertising a 4th one recently. But the tournament that we played in over the weekend was called a Scramble, and it's a bit challenging to put on because this is where you sign up at your level. So if you're a 4-0 player, you sign up for the 4-0 men's, and you will partner with every other person for one game in your pool. And if 2 people as partners score 11 points and give up 5 points, well, I get 11 points to the good, 5 points given up. And the tournament director keeps a tally of my points as I partner and go around and play with everyone in my pool. And then the top 3 point earners end up with gold, silver, and bronze. If you have so many people in the pool, as we did, we split it into 2 groups, and then the top 2 from each pool came together to play for the 3 games to determine first, second, and third. But the Scramble, it's a great format because you get to play with people that you've never played before, or people that may be a little bit better than you, also people that may not be as good as you. So you're getting to mix and match. So it's not only who is the best player in some ways, it's who is the best partner, who can adapt to play with a player with everybody's got a little bit of a different style. So who can adapt to all these other players, kind of move into a particular role with that new partner and still succeed.
Yeah, I mean, and the fun part is you're playing with people who sometimes you've not even met before.
To me, it says a lot about your overall game and how good your overall game is to try to adjust and adapt to a player on the fly. So it was all gender. There was no mixed in this. It was just men's
Correct.
and women's. What was the general consensus of the people out there? Most people were saying, "Hey, I really like this."
Everybody
Did y'all
really
get a feel
liked
of
it.
that?
Everybody really liked it.
Me.
Go ahead, bud.
I didn't, but I had probably the worst day of personal pickleball that I've had in months. I was horrible, and I actually felt sorry for the people who had to play with me. I really did.
Yeah, but bud, what about the
I felt
format?
bad.
Did you like the format of playing with different players?
I did like the format, and if I had played better, I probably would have had a good time. But I was playing so bad that by the second to the last game I had to play, all I could think about was going home. It was just
Well,
the worst pickleball day I've ever had.
well, I didn't have a very good day either. And anybody who kind of knows me, I'm struggling right now with some lower back issues, and I'm not moving quite like I used to on the court. And so I was kind of like I was the weight in my pool, and
That was me.
I had some good matches, but it was fun playing with everybody and trying to figure out, am I the am I the left side player in this role, or am I the right side player in this role? Because with each person, like I played with McCabe, let McCabe take things over, but I played with other people who were more resetters, and I stayed on the left and kind of use my big forehand in the center. So it's really interesting with each matchup. You can change your role and have to be very adaptable to your partner. So I think it was a fun experience, really.
Yeah, and I have to say there were several comments from people that put it out on the feed that said they would absolutely do it again. So
I'd do it again. I mean, I'm sure I couldn't have a worse day than I had. So
It's going to be.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ken.
No, you go.
I was just going to say I was going to say it's going to be real interesting to see moving forward. What style tournaments do the old school regular tournaments that we all know about, do they continue, or does the MLP style tournament? Because everybody that I know that's played an MLP, they really like it, and now we got this new King and Queen of the Court that y'all just played in. So it'd be kind of fun to see in the future kind of how these things mutate and which style tournament people really start to like.
Yep.
Maybe they'll all coexist together. Who knows? We'll just have to see.
I hope we keep a variety.
The good part about it is, yeah, and the variety is awesome. But I think the one thing that is nice to have these pop up here and there is that generally they're 1 day commitments. I mean, there's a lot of tournaments that you might enter in that, especially when Ken and I would play, and both of us might try singles, and that ends up being on different days. And then you've got men's on one day, ladies on another day, mixed on another day. It could be a 4 or 5 day commitment for some tournaments, and in the least 3 day commitments. And so this is a fun way of having 1 day tournament that people don't have to commit to an entire weekend away.
I will say one of the things I really did enjoy about the tournament, the scramble, was that you played game after game after game. You didn't sit, and we started at 8:00 and we were done at 11.
There you go.
The whole deal. And that was nice. And I agree with Vicki. It's a 1 day commitment. You don't have to worry about driving back and forth. You're just there for the day. And like I said, it would have been good pickleball, and it would have been a lot more fun had I played better. But I do like the format for that reason.
Hey, for senior players like us too, that starting, we've talked about this before, the starting and stopping of playing. You might play a match for 40. So this format y'all just played in might be just geared perfectly towards senior players. I know a lot of players that like to just get out on the court and play their pickleball and keep going and then be done, like you said, Bud.
And another thing is you don't have to worry about having a consistent partner. I mean, it's hard for me to find somebody in my age bracket that I could play with consistently to get really good with. So to me, this was perfect because you just you play with different people, and that was the nature of the tournament.
That's your fault, Bud. We can't find anybody up to your skill level at your age. I mean, don't come here griping about that. Just be your and still out on the playing as well as you.
Well, I tell you
Thank you.
what, with all these tournaments popping up, and now we've got new format tournaments popping up, I'd like to know what are the top 3 or top 5 things that people look for in signing up for a tournament? What attracts somebody to a particular tournament? I would have to guess that having some competition at their level is probably number one. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a bunch that would fall under number 2. It's in my town. Maybe that might be number 2. Although a lot of people will travel hundreds of miles for a tournament.
I think too, the reputation of the tournament.
Yeah, a well-run tournament.
Or
I
is
think
it
that's a
is
good
it a
point, Bud.
qualifier for something else that you want to
It's true,
participate
yeah.
in too? So
Mhm.
some tournaments are qualifiers that people are interested in going to whatever's behind that. So
I think one other thing too is these tournaments that turn it into a little bit of an event, like look, the Halloween, we can't avoid that. Is you got dinner on Friday night, you've got a presentation on Friday night, you got a margarita machine on Saturday afternoon, and a beer truck. And some of these tournaments have a band playing on Saturday night. We've gone to one where it was included that you went to some location and there was music playing. So turning them into a little bit of an event, so it's like a little social. And definitely where food is being served included with it. Those are some things I think that can draw people in as well.
Well,
Yep.
Cindy and Tex have turned that tournament into that's a must play for most of us.
Yeah,
right.
But
it's an
it's
institution.
not a fun tournament. Playing competition's always good. It's just a well-run tournament. So
Yep.
when you get that reputation, you're going to not have any trouble filling your tournament every year. I think they have they do. They have to cut it off. They only can take so many.
Yep.
They turn people away the last few years.
That's a good
So
point.
let's talk about the last trend that we came up with as a group, and it's I'll let Jeff elaborate. It's a little more. It's block versus counter. So this is another trend we're seeing, and we'll let Jeff elaborate on it.
So this is interesting to me because you've got both sides of the fence here. I think the reset was more important prior to as much as a year ago, but now if you're mostly block and reset, again, this goes to paddle technology and all that, you're probably going to lose a lot of games or be on the defense because of that. So now I think the trend is turning towards, and look, blocking and resetting, you have to have that skill. If you don't have that skill, you're not going to be a very good pickleball player. But you better start adding counterattacking in there and counterattack some of those balls instead of just blocking them back. Me personally, with my game, that's something that I'm working on really hard right now. It's getting a little bit better, but I've got to get a lot better at it as far as trying to catch up with what's going on as far as a trend in the game. What do y'all think about that?
I agree. I mean, I think that we talked about that this morning, that in so many cases that you're going to get caught. You can keep blocking and blocking and blocking, but if somebody sees that you are a little bit more unstable or you're backing up a little bit because you're so busy being on the defense, they're going to keep attacking you until you make a mistake. So, yeah, at some point, it's not just blocking to reset. It's blocking and or changing up to transition to an offense and be able to put that ball away. Otherwise, you'll continue to get stuck. Doing all one and all the other just is not reasonable.
Yep.
It's a good blend of both.
Yeah, I mean, a quote, a great singer-songwriter, Kenny Rogers, I think you have to know when to hold them, when to fold them, because there's times to reset, there's times to counter, and you've got to know the difference. If you're all nothing but resetting, you're staying on the defensive, it's hard to win a point. And if you're counterattacking all the time, you're probably going to be making a few too many unforced errors. So
that's a really good point, Ken. You can't have just one or the other. And as far as people trying to figure this out on their own, you got different players out there. If you're a really good counterattacker, then you should probably lean more to counterattacking than you do to blocking, and vice versa. If counterattacking is not necessarily one of your fortes that you do really well, of course you need to work on it. But you might want to take and try to block a lot of those balls back into the kitchen and try to get it slowed down. And again, we always say there's no one way to play this game. It's finding that sweet spot where you fit in there, with your blocks and resets, and getting that proportion to what best fits your game.
And I know we actually did for a good long while a drill that was a dink volley. You dink back and forth, volley back and forth, and then a reset. And we did that a lot. And at some point also we transitioned and had to learn to do the same drill, but a dink and a volley and an attack. You have to be able to transition with it right there at the net. And so I think having drills and changing up even the way that you're doing your drills is really important practice too, because it's happening fast. That's the other thing. That decision-making process, you don't have as much time anymore. It has got to be quick thinking. And I'm finding all the matches I'm in. You got to be quick with your decision making.
All right, folks, that was a great discussion on recent trends in pickleball and where we're going with the sport. And now, as always, it's time for Jeff and his Burr Under My Saddle.
You're Burr under my saddle. Your thorn sticking in my side.
All right, folks, this week, the Burr Under My Saddle segment, I'm going to go back to, I had talked to the net, kind of got feelings how the net felt, talked to the balls. And then last week we had Brent Roy on. He did a guest Burr Under My Saddle. But and my paddle started rumbling in my bag. They're like, I thought you were going to do a segment on us. So this week, and look, again, I know you people think I'm crazy, sitting here talking to all these objects, but I just want to let y'all know the paddles have feelings too. So I sat down, got a couple of my paddles, got them out and did a little interview with them. One of the first things they said, people, you make me feel like this is like junior high, like an 8th grade crush. You get me in your hand and you're like, I'm like the greatest thing that you've ever seen. And you play with me for a couple of months. And then next thing you know, you're starting to look around at these other paddles, and you grab another paddle, and I'm just kind of set off in your bag, or I get to go to the courts with you some, but then all of a sudden you even pull me out of the bag and leave me at home. That was the first thing right off the bat that they said. The next thing is that all of them said, they said, when you hit when you hit a bad shot, stop looking at me. Stop looking down at me. I'm looking back at you thinking, I didn't do that. You were the one swinging me. Okay? So they don't want to be looked at like that whenever you screw the shot up. Quit staring like it's their fault. The third thing, it said people will make a mistake and then they take and they crush me against their leg, or against, some of them, bam, right on the butt, right in my face. Do you want your face crushed against somebody's butt? We don't. Okay, feelings too. So again, you messed up. So don't take it out on me by crushing me against your butt. The last thing that they said, and they admitted this doesn't happen often, but they said people will make a mistake. They take me, the paddle, they sling me into the net, they sling me into a fence, or they sling me over the fence. A couple of the paddles had gotten slung over the fence. They said, all right, what if we start, when the people start making mistakes, we start slinging people all over the place? It looked like a MASH unit out there. So this was some of their concerns, and this week is going to kind of wrap up the equipment series of Burr Under My Saddle. But I just want to encourage But to keep remembering, all of this equipment we play with has feelings too. That's this week's Burr Under My Saddle. Back to you, bud.
Oh, Jeff, that was great. I love it. All right. And now,
Hey, Bud, I've got a shout out. Alrighty, Bud. My shout out today is for Terry and Molly, Coach Carrie, the moms, the Cyclone boys can win. All the volunteers, everybody that helped out with the tournament on Saturday and tried to help keep it moving and a fun time for everybody. Terry and Molly kind of went out on a limb there, doing a different format like they did. And it just turned out to be a fun day for everybody. It was a great job, you guys. We really enjoyed ourselves. And the great news about the whole thing is that we understand that not only did we earn enough money to sort of finish out the boys, they will be going on their trip, but they maybe even have a little head start to start saving up for next year's trip. So it was a good success story as a fundraiser tournament for the boys. So we're very excited for them. Back to you, Bud.
all right, Vicki, thanks for that shout out. Take a time out for a coach's minute.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of what we're calling the Coach's Minute with the Pickleball podcast, a Pickleball Cruise podcast. Today we're talking about intermediate fast hands, and Vicki's gonna give us some thoughts on that.
That's right. And we call it fast hands, but there's a lot of, it's really more control hands. We talk about not going so hard on each other, keeping it cooperative, especially for the beginner and intermediate levels. But with intermediate, you can even take it a step up and create a side target for each other. Start to learn to also throw control into this exercise. So again, you want to keep it at a pace that feels very comfortable for both parties, but that you're able to keep it to each other's core and keep it to each other's side. So what we're going to do is start out with forehand to, well, you're a lefty, so we're going to go on this side.
So we'll be basically forehand to forehand.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Just controlling the ball with each other, staying light on our feet, not being planted. Good job, Vic. Just controlling the ball like that. Now,
That's right.
You want to go backhand side?
Sure.
All right. I'm a lefty, she's a righty. Now we'll be backhand to backhand. Good get. And I'm aiming just to the right of Vicki. She's aiming just to the right of me. I'm sorry, just to the left of me. All right, that's pretty much it.
That's
right
it,
there.
right there.
Good job.
Absolutely.
All right. Hopefully, you can also, as you get going in this and get better at it with your partner or whoever you're drilling with, you can make it a little more competitive.
Absolutely.
But you just don't want to be firing balls all different ways,
No.
where you're tracking balls down with your legs instead of doing the drill.
Actually, and all you're doing is chasing balls, and that's right. And again, if you saw me getting down really low, again, this is another situation, just like Ken said earlier, where you let your body help move the ball. So I'm not swinging. I'm trying really hard not to go hard and swing at it. It is a controlled pace
That's
of that ball.
a good point, y'all.
So
We're going short and compact with a lot of stuff that we want to do.
that's right.
All right, that's this
All right.
week's Coach's Minute. And throw it back to you, bud.
Back to you, Bud.
Hot off the press, it's time for Ken's tournament previews.
Hey, thanks, bud. Let's talk about tournament previews. April 20th is the Spring Fling mixed doubles and singles tournament at Pelican Park in Mandeville. Go to globalpickleball.network. Registration closes April 17th. This is both mixed doubles and singles at Pelican Park, a one-day tournament. April 27th, the 5th annual Eastern Shore Classic at Lott Park in Daphne, Alabama. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. Registration will close April 22nd. Also, April 27th, 28th is the Vicksburg Open in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. There's over 30 people registered for this. Registration will close April 21st. April 28th is the Young Life Pickleball Tournament in Mobile, Alabama. It's a long URL. This is a mixed doubles tournament only, a one-day tournament. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen. April 28th there's a lot of tournaments in late April, is Pickleball for a Cause at the Fritchie Park Gym in Slidell, Louisiana. We're going to put the flyer up with the QR code. Also, there's a phone number to call to register. This is mixed doubles and gender doubles in this tournament. Moving to May 3rd through 5th at the club at the township in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. There's over 100 people registered. Registration will close on April 26th. Keith and Petra are involved in running this tournament, and it's going to be a fun event. We're looking forward to hearing more from it. May 11th at Pelican Park on the outdoor courts is the Heart and Soul Pickleball Tournament. This is a fundraiser for No Heart Left Behind. It's going to be a great time. Also, this tournament is going to be using the new Selkirk Pro S1 Pickleball. We've played with this. I love this ball. It's similar to a Franklin X40. It's a little livelier. And these come with a 1-year warranty against cracking. So getting back to the tournament, it's a fundraiser for the mission of No Heart Left Behind. There's going to be men's doubles, women's doubles in the morning, mixed doubles, and a junior scramble in the afternoon. Go to globalpickleball.network. We'll also put a QR code up for you to use to register for the tournament. May 18th, 19th is the State Games of Mississippi at Halls Ferry Park in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. The same weekend, May 19th, 18th, 19th is the Pickle in the Dell at the Crossgates Fitness Center in Slidell, Louisiana. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. May 24th through 27th at Stacks is the first annual Stacks Pickleball Fest in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is a 4-day event. So Friday, May 24th, you've got singles and a social mixer. Saturday, May 25th, you have men's doubles and women's doubles. Sunday, May 26th, mixed doubles. Monday, May 27th, is a junior and an adult MLP. Go to globalpickleball.network to register. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen. Registration will close on May 10th. Moving to June. This tournament will be May 31st through June 2nd. This is the first annual Graywood Golf and Racquet Club Pickleball Tournament in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. There's already over 70 people registered. Registration will close May 22nd. This should be a nice time. I've played tennis at the Graywood Golf and Racquet Club. I got to tell you, it's a beautiful facility. I'm sure they're going to put on a great pickleball tournament. Moving to August 8th through 11th, this is the second annual NOLA Pickle Fest at the Moriel Convention Center in downtown New Orleans. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. There's over 220 people registered. If you can't play in the tournament but can get there on Saturday, Drew Brees and John McEnroe will be playing doubles, paired up each with a pro, and it's a sight to see. I'll tell you, the center court is New Orleans Mardi Gras parade floats will be surrounding it. They're also using the Pickle Roll pickleball court, which is a rollout, very textured court. Lighting is great. Of course, 72 degrees indoors in early August is always a great place to play. Going to September 6th through 8th is the first annual Louisiana State Championships. This will be at the New Orleans Hilton. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. If you medal in the state games, you'll go on to play at the United States Championship at Dallas, Texas, either later in 2024 or early 2025. It hasn't been determined yet. Moving to October 4th through 6th is the Louisiana Senior Games, be held at the Legacy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Again, this is a qualifying year for nationals, which will be held in Des Moines, Iowa in the summer of 2025. More on that when we have a URL to register. Finally, October 25th through 27th is the Hollow Wheel Tournament in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is a don't miss tournament. Our registration will open very soon. Women's doubles will be on Friday, mixed doubles on Saturday, and men's doubles on Sunday. That's it for tournament preview. Back to you, Bud.
Thanks, Ken, for those previews. And now, if nobody has anything else, I think it's time to say goodnight. Good night, folks.
Night, everybody.
Night.
Hey, from the Pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.